It's so simple, but it's so fucking effective. It's like people love talking about themselves, and especially if you're with a woman and you ask her like why, you're actually curious about what motivates this thing that she's told you. It shows that you don't just care about a pretty face. Like you're actually interested in getting to know her, which is so fucking refreshing for any woman that's been approached any number of times, right? Because the majority of guys are just going up and, hey, I saw you from over there and I found you attractive. Let's get your number, like that usual bullshit fucking spiel, right?
There's two types of conversations you can have. You can have the ones that are super dry, there's like really boring answers like, oh, I'm good, how about you? Yeah, I'm good, that's it. Or the ones that are alive, which is like, bro, you can talk about literally anything. Think of this tree as most people's conversations. You go from A to B. Like an example of it could be like, oh, how's your day going? And you say, oh, I'm good, how about you? And the other person says, oh, it's going okay. There's nothing to that conversation. You're not branching out, you're just a single tree. Versus this tree, we can branch out. This is like a different topic, different topic, different topic, different topic. Like if someone asks me, how's my day going? I'm gonna tell them how my day went. I'll say this, good, bro. I woke up and I did some cardio because if I don't do it in the morning, then I don't do it. You feel me? Then I made a killer breakfast and then I got to work. Within me saying that, we got like 4 branches. We're cardio, exercise, food, and work. When you are the person who's listening to that, you take whatever you are interested in. For you, bro, it could be exercise. And then we start talking about exercising. If you give a little bit extra and you create some branches, people will do the same.
This is very good advice, and I give a very similar concept to all of my clients, but I conceptualize it in a slightly different way. I like to look at it structured as layers of depth rather than a tree branching out. And the first layer is the small talk layer. It's the what do you work? How old are you? What did you study? All of that sort of shit. What most guys do in conversation when they're approaching, they'll start with that kind of thing, and then they really struggle to get away from it. So they'll say to the girl like, "Do you have any hobbies?" And she goes, "Yeah, I collect Barbies." And he goes, "Great. What do you study?" And she goes, "I studied psychology." And he goes, "Great. What do you do for work?" And she goes, "I work in a coffee shop." And he goes, "Great." And it just continues on that level, and it creates this really boring, non-connective conversation. So that's level 1. That's layer 1. Layer 2 is you start to ask slightly more emotionally rooted questions. So she goes, "I collect Barbies," and you say, "That's strange. I've not heard of people doing that before. I've never met someone that collects Barbies. Why?" Right? Or she goes, "I'm in psychology," and my response to anyone that says they do psychology is it you that's fucked up or your parents? Right? Because people always get into psychology because they're looking to either fix something or because their parents had issues or whatever. I've never met someone that studies psychology that wasn't a little bit fucked up. And then what was the third example? Coffee shop, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then from there, if you ask emotionally rooted questions and you're with someone that is a half-decent conversationalist, they're not just going to respond with short answers. They're actually going to give you something that you can then connect with. So if you ask about the Barbies and you go, "Why do you collect Barbies?" This girl might say to you, "Well, my grandfather was someone that I was very, very close with throughout my childhood. And every year on my birthday, he used to visit and bring me a Barbie doll. And I loved this man deeply, but now that he's dead, I still buy myself Barbies to feel connected to him." And there you go. Now you have an understanding of how she feels about something and how she relates to the world. And from there, you can then go to level 3, which is relating with each other. And you can take that thing that she said and for example, you could say, for example, "Well, I fucking hated my grandfather. He was a piece of shit," right? It doesn't have to be the same thing as long as you're sharing an emotion. Or you could say, "I have a really great relationship with this person. And I have a similar thing that I do that reminds me of them because they're far away now," Connection is based on shared emotional understanding and experience. So if I know how you think and feel about things, and you know how I think and feel about things, we start to feel bonded and closer to each other, right? And so great questions that can get you deeper into these layers are things like why, or how do you feel about that, or even what's the emotional root of that? How does that make you feel? What are you passionate about? All of these sorts of things. You're essentially, rather than just trying to get little bits of information from this person, you're trying to take those things that they feed you and then get a little bit deeper on those and then relate to them yourself. And if you can open up in a way that is emotionally vulnerable, but in like a healthy, grounded, non-needy way, right? And I've talked about that in some other videos and we could talk about that some other time. But if you can do that, you're showing that person that they have a safe space to do that as well. And then they'll start to open up with you naturally. And this is how you build connection in conversations.
From doing this in practice, asking the why question, it's gold. Like you see the phone call in their eyes, because it's like an emotion that you trigger from them. And humans connect on emotions, I feel. So it's an amazing question.
Absolutely.
Um,
It's so simple, but it's so fucking effective. It's like people love talking about themselves. And especially if you're with a woman and you say and you ask her like why, you're actually curious about what motivates this thing that she's told you. It shows that you don't just care about a pretty face. Like you're actually interested in getting to know her, which is so fucking refreshing for any woman that's been approached any number of times, right? Because the majority of guys are just going up and, hey, I saw you from over there and I found you attractive. Let's get your number, like that usual bullshit fucking spiel, right?
exactly. And some of the question, or a question that I also like to ask these days, it's just simple upfront. What is your passion? And it triggers emotion immediately. And you can, of course, like after this question, you ask the why, and then you connect so easily with somebody on whatever it is that you can connect on.
Yeah, and it seems like you say this to people, and I've had people respond like, it's a bit of a stupid question. What does that even mean? Your passion, blah 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 blah. But everybody has a thing, right? Everybody has a thing that they're interested in, or that they wish that they were doing, or that they are doing. It's like if you ask, what do you do for work, and then you get her talking about some bullshit fucking desk job that she hates, right?
Okay.
It's way better if you go, what are you passionate about, and then she can talk about the thing that really motivates her, or him.
Oh, and sometimes I feel it has happened to me before where I say, "Hey, what is your passion?" And they genuinely don't have a passion, and those people you don't want to talk
Yeah.
with. Trust
Yeah,
me,
yeah, because you might think as well, like, what if you put
they're
somebody
just
on the spot
empty.
and they don't have an answer? Get the fuck away from that person if they don't have an answer.